Alright, cunts, welcome back to Practicing Portraits, an artwod roadmap. Artwod is an amazing draftsmanship platform. Link in description. Because of them, I was able to draw this. I've been drawing for 3 years and 2 months. Now fucking get the fuck off my channel. Keep me on the background, give me your attention. There you go. Now that is my new intro. Very short, very sweet, very succinct. You're probably flabbergasted to some degree, being like, what the fuck just happened? And the answer is yes. Yes, indeed. But yeah, get your pen, get your pencil out, let's draw along. I'm doing the portrait roadmap section in Artwod. Right, like I'm the very beginning, and ooh, my hands really. Ooh, look at that! Do you guys see fucking how? Look how shaky my fingers are right now. Oh boy, oh yeah, that's what I like. This is gonna be one of those sessions where my fingers are extremely shaky. But yeah, we're looking at a portrait, putting it in a box, putting a sphere inside the box in our mind. Right, we're only drawing the box, but we're putting a sphere inside the box, a perfect sphere inside the box in our mind, and seeing the center lines, horizontal and vertical, inside the sphere, inside the box. If that sounds difficult, it's fucking hard as shit, which is why it's worth doing. Perspective is all that matters when it comes to creating believability, right? Learn form, learn perspective. Okay, it doesn't even mean to do that. But learn form, learn line, right? Get good at lines, get good at perspective, get good at form, learn how to manipulate form. Ta-da! 30 years later, you're able to fucking draw clusters of forms manipulated within each other in combinations, and that's all this is. This helmet, whatever the fuck this is just a cluster of manipulated forms, right? Congratulations, you have now learned how to become a decent draftsmanship or draftsman. Oh look, there's also line, there's also composition, values, design, what else? Lighting, yeah, a bunch of other shit, right? But you don't need that to be a good artist, right? Artist? Fucking, I'm literally trying to practice my communication, and it's like every time I go into this art mode, oh, by the way, while I'm talking, I've begun drawing in my mind, and on the page, of course, but yeah, my communication really needs work. But hey, I'm gonna try to explain clearly and concisely as I always do, as I always try to do, not as I always do. If I always did do it, it'd be a fucking completely different story. But, oof, you see those garbage lines? That's too much, isn't it? No, actually, that's not bad. I think that's not bad at all. And then, what is the angle? The angle is something like this, right? This seems a bit more tilted, but is this the accurate tilt? I think it's not inaccurate, right? But oof, look at these lines. You see how shit these lines are? It's clear the biggest thing I need to, because now that I've actually just gotten into the mindset of just ideating and designing and just kind of letting my like my mind essentially run free, right? Ooh, look, see, big mistake there. I literally didn't even attach the line properly, right? That's a skill. So either way, now that I've kind of gotten decent at least trying to think, or like enjoy the designing process in terms of just not like playing, right? It's clear. Oh, that is still pretty off. Wow, I think that's the most off mine's been actually. But it's still hard to tell, which is good, because if it's hard to tell, that means I'm struggling. If I'm struggling... Oh, yeah, her head actually is kind of tilted like that. Now that I look at it, it is maybe... Am I just gaslighting myself into thinking I did it correctly? Who knows? But I'm trying to also see the sphere inside the box and the center lines inside the sphere, inside the box, but it's kind of like this, right? Oof, look at that line. Look at that subpar line. That's some good shit. That's some good shit. There you go. Again, you can see I really lack a lot of confidence when it comes to my lines. Pretty sure I got this line incorrect as well. Let's see. Something like, it's okay, I think. But again, like my head wants to tilt so much while I draw this. Like drawing any sort of tilted angle fucks with me so much because my head so badly wants to tilt as well while I'm drawing it. Know what I'm saying? But yeah, how are your days? I will definitely not respond to any comments that tell me how their day was, right? But I out of genuine false curiosity, right? How was your day? Did you draw? No, get the fuck off your goddamn wherever you are, right? You just get off your ass, get your pen out, and get into practice. Please and thank you. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. I'm gonna get better, but I would like to encourage everybody to practice. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this angle is off, and wow, I really drew this incorrectly as fuck. Dude, I love this. I love how bad my art is. I love how bad everything is. Like, it really does feel like there are times when I just don't know how to draw, right? Or that, I guess, I don't know how to draw. I actually don't know how to draw, but I guess what I'm trying to say is there are times where it feels like all the effort I put into practice didn't really do anything, right? Like, look at these lines. Look at that. Look at that. That was so fucking hard. That's so difficult. That was so difficult, right? But just gotta keep on keeping on, as they say. Right? I don't know who said that. I don't know who came up with that saying, but I like it. I like it. Anyways, I'm trying to consistently think about that sphere. Really fucking difficult to put a sphere inside a damn box, but it is getting better. I'm actually able to visualize this relatively decently now, right? I still think the angle I drew this in is off. This is way more tilted than what it needs to be. Okay, I fixed that a little bit at least. But yeah, and then I'll do this, and then after this I'm probably moving on to a different angle, because while it is difficult, I do want to get into the practice as well of actually being able to see different angles and to draw from different angles, because yeah, I won't deny that this is the hardest angle for me personally, and I think for most people the bottom perspective is the most difficult, right? Because we don't really think, or we don't really get much opportunity in life to really, unless we're children, right, to look at this angle from people, unless you're lying down and you see the bottom of someone's head. But generally this angle is pretty much lost to us in terms of consistency. I would like to say, right? Like I think that's not too inaccurate of a statement. Like this angle is pretty rare to come across. Keep fucking her nose up. But that's what it is. Just gonna keep trying to get better, right? And then her lips, which I also keep fucking up, right? I still, the thing is like, it's interesting because obviously her face is very manipulated in the sense that the face is a box, but with multiple plane changes on like this side and like things rounding across. It's not really a box. Like yeah, to put in perspective, the box is what helps contextualize the orientation. But as you know, I think the next exercise is a Loomis head actually. So after I do these 50 reps, the next 50 reps will be the Loomis head, and that's actually what's really gonna help me internalize the people. Right, the people and how their faces are oriented. Like this is actually probably still inaccurate. I feel as if that was way more correct. Yeah, this angle is not correct now that I look at it. We're still seeing too much of the front plane. That was correct, but it's so hard for me to recognize this. It's actually very difficult for me to recognize this, right? Which is why I'm continuing to keep trying to do it, right? Otherwise, I would have already gotten it down, which I haven't. But yeah, start trying to see the sphere, trying to see the center line, right? Again, like what is the center line, vertical center line of this, right? That would be something like this is the sphere that it's encompassed in, right? This is clearly the minor axis. And by the way, like this may all seem like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. But unless you do this 500 times, you're not going to understand. I want to say right now, like if you can, because it's very easy to conceptually understand something, but if you haven't been able to consistently replicate it in practice, that just means you have a lot of volume to do, a lot of intentional, effortful volume to make up with, right? But even like this is the sphere, let's just say, right? Then if we were to essentially bring it across this contour like so, then this is the center line, right? It's following that minor axis. Dude, I love this. I really hope this pen doesn't do what it did yesterday, which is completely lose this the flow of the ink, because I love it when the pen actually like flows the ink properly and the paper absorbs it as it should, because this is actually how my lines are. Not like this, they're not this clean. This is actually how shit my lines are, and that's good to know, right? It's important to actually know where you stand when it comes to how garbage you are. Right, I don't say that in a mean way. That's just the way I speak. But like, yeah, just to know the deficiencies in skill, right? Because otherwise, you're just gonna not have an accurate understanding of what actually needs work. Like, look at these shaky fucking lines. Like, that's actually how I am. Like, that's my skill. But anyways, I'm gonna rest my brain, and then I'm gonna move on, and we're gonna do the helmet, right? And I'm gonna keep trying to visualize these center lines. Right, but it's getting better. I think definitely, like, even like the thing is like, even though the consistency of my and the application of the box in relation to the reference that I'm looking at has clearly been like have like relatively large margins for error, right? The fact that I'm still able to see the sphere and to like accurately see the center lines and inside the box and make it pretty decent, like that's progress in and of itself. I think that's definitely good progress. But yeah, I'll be right back. I encourage you to rest your brain as well. So the main thing is because I'm retarded, right? Like because I'm just genuinely not that um I guess perceptive, right? And this isn't me speaking into existence. I'm not trying to reinforce the mindset or belief that isn't true. It's just like something I've noted, right? I have trouble consistently perceiving and understanding things, so I have to constantly remind myself. And the other thing is like I haven't like I say Q to myself. I've been trying to say Q to myself, which is, am I in extreme discomfort? This basically calibrates me to be like, am I in extreme discomfort? And again, while I'm talking, I'm drawing, and talking while drawing is a skill, right? That's also pretty uncomfortable. So right now we're projecting this entire thing, moving it over here, and we're gonna draw a helmet or hard surface shapes around it, right? So the main thing for me is like, am I in extreme discomfort right now? And it's like I could be in more. That's what I want to keep telling myself. It's like, am I in extreme discomfort? And I also need to position this accurately, right? So that's the really hard part, is like seeing this box and then positioning it accurately. So like I should probably stop it right around here. And like this already I think helps a little bit in terms of positioning it, but I'm in extreme discomfort right now, or I'm in a decent amount of discomfort because I'm trying to position this box accurately while also seeing the sphere inside of it, which is extremely difficult, and then trying to see the center lines, right, that are following the contour, vertical and horizontal, right? And now that's just the first step. I always say this, but that's just the first step. The second step is now ideation. And I told myself a theme I want to do for these helmets is like focus more on cylinders, because I don't really do many interesting cylinder designs. Like you see, that's pretty mid. This is definitely garbage. This is like nonsensical. That's just like a screw, right? That's mid. Like everything that I do cylindrically, which do make a lot of difference when it comes to drawing, I will say. Like when it comes to hard surface especially, like it makes quite a bit of a difference to be able to draw something, to draw like an interesting looking cylinder, whether it's jutting out, whether it's indented, you know, whether the manipulation that's being rounded inside. And again, while I'm talking, I'm really trying to visualize this, right? So one thing I want to do right now is already start by establishing, hopefully by, and again, dude, like the second I start to actually try to put shapes on top of this sphere, which is encompassed inside a box and is following, has center lines inside of it, the second I start to do that or try to even think about that, immediately there's like extreme friction in my mind, right? And that's part of the learning process, is there's going to be extreme friction when you try to attempt something outside of that comfort zone, you know? And that's where I personally have to just keep pushing through it, keep trying to visualize. So right now I'm constantly trying to juggle the box, the sphere, the center lines, but also trying to calculate, right? And I got it wrong just now, right? But also trying to calculate the front plane and where what I'm going to be drawing is going to be on that front plane, right? Like, because again, it is slightly off, it is off center. It's more, the center here is more to the left, like our left. So I'm trying to calculate all of that. That's like 5 things right there. And we haven't even gotten into design, which is like interesting shape. Is it jutting in? What manipulations are occurring, right? How big is it? Where is it located on this plane of the sphere and the box that it resides in and the center line that it follows, right? All those things. And there's a lot of them, like you probably can, hopefully you're hearing right now, like, holy shit, that's a fucking lot of things to think about. Yes, the answer is yes, which is why form is something that most beginners and intermediates and anything, like, which is why just getting better at forms in general is something everybody shies away from, because it's extremely difficult. It's not boring. This is not boring. This is not boring. Maybe it's unsightly. Maybe it's not the best design, but it's definitely not boring, right? Like there's already an intrinsic understanding of what's it called, technical rigor and mental effort that's been applied to have this come about, right? Like you can understand that. You can, if you put yourself in the situation of like, okay, I need to draw something like that, you're probably immediately going to be like, oh shit, like fuck, where do I start? And that's exactly what I'm telling you. Like that's what I'm trying to explain what I'm thinking, which is where the fuck do I start, right? Research shows that if you swear excessively, people have a tendency to listen to you more. Or was it the other way around? I don't know, but either way. So I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to think right now. Okay, maybe I do want to, again, the focus is cylinders. All right, so I do want to think about how I can make them look more interesting. Let's start with, and again, I have to think about the fucking perspective as well, right? So let's start with this, right? We'll have this in the middle. Oof, that's really hard to think about right now, but we'll have this in the middle. Okay, and this is obviously a cylinder that's in perspective. See how I kept thinking about it in the wrong perspective. So we'll have, okay, and again, like I'm trying to position this box appropriately as well, so that's a lot to think about. But if it's like that, it's positioned right around there. And we'll do something like this. Oh, see, pen went to shit again. I guess I'll go fuck myself. Come on! What the fuck? You were literally bleeding. You piece of shit. Okay. Well, there you go. So now this is... And I lost the box and the sphere and everything it resides in completely. But that's okay. So that's the first step. And now I want to think about the second step. So if that's the sphere, I need to think about now, okay, what do I want to do with it? What would look interesting to me? I have an idea. I just want to make sure that idea is something that I can be like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So I do want to do something maybe like, and this is all going to be based on my line work now, right? Which is very subpar. Okay, so I already fucked it up. I fucked up this line. That was an accident. But I think maybe I can make up for it if I do something like this. Right? And this is the perspective, right? So we'll do... There you go. And the whole point, the idea I'm trying to think about is just that these... let's see. That there's like additions happening, right? There's additions happening on this sphere, which makes it a lot harder to think really clearly. I'll be right honest right now. Holy shit, that's like hurting the fuck out of my brain. Jesus Christ. And we also want some lines that are going around. And this is obviously where, again, my line work is going to be really contingent on my line work. Like really contingent on my line work. And then we can have some... There you go, some grills of sorts, which again is very contingent on my line work. But that already looks way more interesting. And yeah, like this is just based off things I've kind of seen, I've just been trying to pay attention to. But it's all based on my line work. Do you see how like this is why I need to have clean, thin, small lines that make relative sense? And I lost the perspective multiple times here, but I think what I can do to hopefully, again, this the hope is, it's okay, I lost the perspective completely. I literally, so I need to recalibrate, be like, am I in extreme discomfort? The answer is no, so I need to think even deeper. Think about that box again, right? And if this is where the center is, right, then I need to think about, hold up, I need to think about the center. Something like this, right? And this is just me trying to create a diagonal coming out of this shape, right? So that's one thing. And then are there, hold up, dude, this is so hard to think. I'm trying to think about how these can connect, right? What I can have going, because I do want a lot of cylinders, of course. It's the main point of what I'm practicing. So this was really difficult, as you can see. Oof. Okay, so let's see, something like where this is coming across. Hold up. I just need to have this make a little bit more sense for me. So what would look interesting would be something like, let me try something like this, right? Let me just try something like this. And then this over here. Okay, so we've gotten a little bit of some sort of understanding here. Let's close that off and close this off. Okay, now where do I want to go from here? Because this is already, it's not bad. It's definitely a good base. I just need to figure out what I want to do with this base, right? So, well, first, what could I have jutting out here? It's all cylindrical based is what I'm trying to go across. And again, I'm trying to think about how this is contouring. So would something like, no, I don't want to think about that. I was thinking about something, a cylinder, like a bent cylinder that has an opening in the middle, and maybe it's wrapping around the back. But I personally don't think that looks that cool, right? And so I hope this is informative in the sense that like this is my ideation process that I'm trying to think about right now, right? And there's a lot, and so you can see the perspective's already pretty off, but we do need to make sure that things are kind of moving along. So what's another way I can implement a cylinder? And what's the way that this thing actually looks like it's three-dimensional? Well, I think for a fact, not for a fact, but I think I can do something like this, right? And do we see that on the other side is the real question, right? Do we see that on the other side? Maybe just a little, right? Something like that. Okay, that's something. There you go. Add a little bit more, like I just added a little bit more length to that side, so it at least like is established more consistently with the perspective, right? And this might actually be an incorrect perspective either way, but again, I'm really having a difficult time thinking about that box. But let's see, maybe I want something cylindrical. Let's try something like this. Well, okay, let's do something like... okay, wait. I should have... There you go. See, trying to keep it in perspective. And again, my lines are going to be what's... So that's basically what is that? Those are just two cylinders attached to each other, right? That will clarify here right now. I'm obviously trying to think about that perspective while I did it. And then we will... I want this to sort of jut out. And I'm really trying to think about that perspective of the box. And like, you have to think about how it's going to look on the other side too, right? So I want this to... what other cylindrical things? Apparatus can I do, right? Apparatus. So we could have... There you go. Maybe just something like that. Whether it makes sense or not, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Right? I just don't know if that makes the most amount of sense, but it is condensed in a way, right? And like, how are these connecting? So this is the thing. I'm actually trying to focus on logic now in terms of like, how are these things connecting, right? So over here, what do I want? Maybe just something where they're connected like so, like little boxes that are... And this doesn't have to be for both the top and the bottom, right? I'm the designer, right? So I have the liberty to be like, nope, it's only here. But I'm just trying to think, if that's the top plane, and I actually fucked up this side, but if that's the top plane, then could I not do something like this? I don't think that's what I wanted to do actually at all, but it's what's happened. And then it's also about thinking like, okay, well, what's another, I guess, cylindrical motif that could be added? Oof, this is super difficult to think about, right? And this is why I like, again, I want to really focus on my lines here, because if I have some thin lines that can go around like so, while trying to keep the perspective in mind and the fact that we'll see more of this side. You can see how the lines are really, really bad, right? That is something where now, let's see, maybe this side has multiple rounding, right? This side doesn't, or maybe it does. Maybe we'll actually do something like this. Right, just rounding around. I think that made it worse, actually. That definitely made it worse, but let's see. And then this just rounds around like that, right? And you can see, like, I'm trying to find a balance between large shapes and complexity, right? And I did not think this was the way it would have gone. Like, this is not actually what I thought it would turn out into, but it is what it's turning into. So now it's just my responsibility to make sure that there is a little bit of sense that's occurring. So again, like if I want a second cylindrical shape, then perhaps it following the perspective, I could do something like this, right? It's going in there, and then that's going in there, and then maybe actually this can have. I'm just trying to think, like, how can this have a different type of attachment? Because that's actually, fuck it, I already fucked that up. We'll just leave it like so. So that's the other cylindrical shape, and it is. How's this connected? Well, I definitely want to have something like so. And now here is actually, I guess, where I can start thinking about how things are attached. So what kind of attachment do I want here? I can have some sort of, and here I can actually maybe make another cylinder. And this one, see, like I'm trying to really think about the design of these shapes, but it's difficult. It's extremely difficult to think about even like what an interesting design is. But again, it's like, what would I find cool? Okay, so I did something like that, right? So now on the other side, obviously I'll do something like that as well. But it's obviously going to be, see, okay, so what did I fuck up here? If that's what it looks like on this side it would look, well, this needs to be a lot lower then, right, clearly. And then this side, because I'm still trying to keep the box in mind, let's not forget. There you go, we'll just have to recreate it. This is not that good, trust me, I'm well aware it's not that. Oh, see, my head's like tilted. My head is so tilted, I'm literally like this while I'm trying to do this. So funny. Anyways. There you go, that's something, right? Okay, but like we're still trying to make sure that it is foreshortened a lot more on this side, which it seems to be coming through. And then let's see, maybe I could do something like this actually. Oof, yeah, I could do something like that, where it's curving around. See, like it's all just random ideation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. At least, definitely in my case, it's not perfect. But that's the process, right? That's the process. And again, my lines are definitely going to shit. So I'm gonna rest my brain. And then I'm gonna come back. I'm right here, but I'm just gonna rest my brain. I encourage you to do so as well. Let's keep trying to figure this out, right? So hashtag Biggie positivity is the first time I've actually just been normal. But anyways. But yeah, trying to problem solve some sort of like actual functionality or things that are like, hey, this kind of looks like it'd be part of something. I'd say is the more important part for sure of design, right? Because I think anybody can just be like, yep, looks like this, but it'll take a lot more work. Like I think anybody can create something nonsensical, because if you look at my shit's all been nonsensical, right? So it's really nothing spectacular in that sense. Like anybody can. See, my lines are really bad there. I think anybody can create something. Like once you get a decent understanding and grasp of perspective, I don't think it's anything special to be able to just create something that doesn't make sense. I think the true special part of it, at least for me, like from what I care about when it comes to design and all that shit, right, is let's see, hold up. I actually think I fucked up the logic over here. So I just got to think about that for a second. Don't mind me. Let me just do my basic fucking. Oh look, this is cylindrical because look at that. I'm adding a little form wrapping. Right, doesn't really do anything. But either way, like it kind of gives an indication. But see, yeah, the most important thing is like figuring out the logic, which is what I'm kind of trying to do right now, right? It's like, what is the logic behind these shapes? What logic have I created? What logic makes sense? You know? So here it's supposed to be kind of coming up this way. So what did I do here that didn't make sense? Because this actually, now that I look at it, I don't think it makes much sense. Because it's like, how does this wrap around? Well, actually, maybe that does make sense. Because, does it make sense? I don't think. I think I did something off here that I'm just trying to figure out right now. It comes across, made it come out. This is clearly something. So okay, if I were to just follow this, right? If we were just to follow this. And then let's just say we ended it like that, right? And then this had a little diagonal, kind of made it look like, oh yeah, this is pretty interesting. There you go. Let's just say this was attached like that, right? Manipulated box is essentially what it is with the diagonal cutout. That's what it is, okay? What did I do on the other side that insinuates that it's not that? Nothing yet. I think like maybe just I didn't articulate this as well as I could. Because, okay, if I have to think about the other side, that's actually the main thing, right? So I have to think about the other side. Like, what is happening on the other side here? Well, if this is that sphere shape, although this is a bit drastic, like I definitely manipulated it a bit drastically, right? But let's just say it is that sphere shape, and it's coming across on the other side, right? It's like that, and it comes down, right? It's this, comes down, comes in. So it's coming down, coming in, and then it's going... is it diagonal? Yeah, it's going outward like this. Right, so what did I do here? No, see, like I probably didn't even problem solve that right. Otherwise something here would have been off. Or would have been accurate, but let me just try to think. So this side comes over here. Let's just close this off. Right? This is, I think, just the part where I have to yeah, it's like it's super difficult to try to figure this out. Yeah, like I don't even think we see anything on this side. Because like we don't see that other side, do we? Maybe. I did fuck up the perspective. Wait, no, see, this is a fuck up again, like, because this is coming out, this is coming out, so it has to be more like, does it make sense? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. If we have to think about this. Yeah, I think it's just closed off, but I genuinely don't think I did anything that makes much sense here. I'm sure somebody in the comment fucking years from now will be like, oh, that's the mistake you made. Yeah, like trying to ideate or trying to understand that right now is just extremely difficult. Right, and so I'm gonna keep trying. Obviously, this is why I like this but that's why I'm choosing foreshortened parts of like the fucking of the references, right? It's clearly what I need, but again, right? It's jutting out. It's clearly following some sort of form. Let's just make this connect as well, maybe. There you go, make that connect. Right? There you go. So that's connected like so. Again, like obviously it's really easy to problem solve for the side you are drawing. it's easier, I should say, but it's never easy. But let's do something like this, because I did say I wanted the design motif to be cylinders, right? Right? So this is obviously gonna be much larger, and this is the first time I've actually been able to consistently try to be in that discomfort, like I said, where I am thinking about the perspective in the box as much as I can. I feel as if it's a lot better, for sure. So now I just got to, again, see, my lines are the biggest indicator of subpar quality. Like you see how see, that's a bit better. But yeah, these lines are what's really shit. And obviously now the next step is ideation. So if okay, what have I seen? Well, I've seen cutouts, right? We've definitely seen cutouts. And it has to follow the contour, then come back out, and then follow the contour. Same thing here, right? Follow the contour, little reminders I have to tell myself. Right, this is not gonna be the most inspired shape for sure, but it's better than me not understanding what I'm doing. Something like that. So again, clearly just follow the contour. I don't know if that makes much sense on the other side. Probably doesn't, because it's hard to figure out. Right, and then what? Well, let's close this off on the other side. Okay, and then we can have, well, I'm just gonna close this off completely because we're not gonna see anything else on the other side, I don't believe, right? And then, I guess another cylindrical thing. And again, I'm just trying to think like, what looks cool? Like, what have I seen, right? Recall is a big part of it, and I'm vaguely trying to recall. This is definitely a huge fuck up, and you can see it's actually off perspective now that I look at it. Right, definitely off perspective. See, I have that tendency to foreshorten in this angle clearly, right? Did it here, and doing a little bit, way less here for sure, but still doing it here. It's like, okay, well, how do I want to connect these things? Well, maybe this is just connected to this. Right, how does that work? Who knows, we'll have to see. And we can have this. Well, this is basically, yeah, we'll have some sort of, this is like a mild subtraction that's occurring, right? And this is where we can start closing off the sphere, because we can, let's see, what can I do? Well, we can have something jut out, but I do want a clear design language. So for this, I'm gonna do something like this, right? And then we're gonna, this is basically going to be a heavily manipulated cylinder. Or I'm going to try to make it a heavily manipulated cylinder. We'll add little jut outs like this. So obviously the fucking details do matter, right? These are subtractions that are occurring inside that, right? We'll close this off. And then we will, what will we do here? How do we want this attached in there? See, I lost the perspective quite a bit there, but... And how do we want this to close off over here, right? Well, maybe... if I bring this over... There you go, just something like that. And then this is just jutting into... See, that was way too long, but... Yeah, jutting into this. Right, and that's another addition, seemingly. So we'll actually have it come out. And we will, there you go, maybe it's connected like so. But how does this affect what's happening here, right? Well, first of all, we can just close that. And close this. Whether that closing is necessary or not, I don't know. Right, but hopefully, I don't know why I said that 8 times in a fucking row. After the second hopefully, I'm like, I guess just continue it, fuck it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you, man. You're just some random dickhead on the internet. And let's see. This is just me kind of being like, what if I add a little jut out here, right? Good old what ifs. And then we can maybe add a little bit of grill marks. Like that. Yeah, lines are definitely holding me back. But we will... I like this. I like when I can just do a subtraction, right? And then continue it. And then do another subtraction maybe. Right? Connect it with this. And then it'll just boop. And there you go. It's like, it is following the sphere, which is the most important thing for me, right? But obviously I'm trying to figure out how this, because this looks like a fucking mess. Because I made a mistake. So now it's like just trying to figure out how does this mistake become something that is appropriate. So actually this can be attached to this. That's perfect. So I can literally do something like this. And it'll follow the sphere. Not perfectly, but it is following it a little bit. Right? But it's the same mistake I've made prior. In terms of like trying to figure out how the other end works. So let's see, is it something like that? Is that what it is? Something like this? I don't know. Fuck it, we'll just have it connect, whether that makes sense or not. Yeah, see, this is like where I'm losing the design. Again, like design is something that I don't really understand, but hopefully, like, okay, what can we do here? Well, we can do something like this, where there's something jutting out diagonally, right, from the perspective. Yeah, we can just do something like that. And then it's coming in, and then let's say it's curved and then following the perspective, right? And we can do that on both sides, where it's coming in, it's curved, and then it's, see, it's still hard to make sure things are consistent. Now this is where my, let's see, yeah, this is where my line work really needs to make sense, right? Because, and this is where I just need to design something that makes sense. Whether it will or not is going to be all contingent on this moment over here, because I'm creating an addition. Okay, we've gotten this. Let's just close this off. Yeah, my lines are really bad. You can see it's actually becoming a bit of a jumbled mess. But I guess we'll just add a little contour here. That doesn't really make that much sense, but I guess what I'm trying to do here is, before it kind of went to shit, is I just wanted to create a little addition that was manipulated and also had a subtraction inside of it. And this is where my lines will showcase that, hey, they need a lot of work, right? They need a lot of work to make sense. You know, they need a lot of work, because that doesn't really make much sense. I think, at the very least, it's not very clear what is occurring, right? And that's okay, like, that's just part of it. Complexity for the sake of complexity is just stupid, right? Which is something that I'm just constantly trying to figure out and work on. But because now everything kind of seems to be jumbled, at least this needs to be, I'm thinking if I add more indicators to this, then it'll at least differentiate it from the others behind it, right? And this can actually be something in shadow, because it's just something that it's going inside of, right? We've made that distinction. This is like super unclear what I even wanted to do here. We'll just leave that as it is. That's just something that's dumb, essentially. And then for the final cylinder, we can have like an ovoid, much more oblong than cylindrical, but just following the, and again, my head's literally fucking tilting, but we'll do this. And I think having it connect like so. And again, because I fucked up the perspective, if I just have to extend this a little bit, then it makes a little bit more sense. But for that to make sense, I'm just gonna extend this, I'm just gonna add this line here as well. Right? I was like, okay, kind of makes sense. And then here you go, we'll just add little indications. Right? We'll even do something like this. Show that, hey, it's actually much more curved than one would expect. And we're gonna leave this at that, at least. Well, let me give it a little bit of multiple rounding for my own sake. There you go. The fucking Gluck Gluck 10,000. And there you have it, right? But my designs definitely, I'm starting to think, are getting more intentional, because again, like, what do I find cool, and just, you know, how can I make it be that thing, right? And now just trying to figure out the logic of it is extremely difficult, but that's now, clearly that's where the value is, right? Clearly, but it's not bad. So I'm gonna keep trying to make cylindrical things make a bit more sense. Although I feel as if I kind of fucked up the design here for this, actually. Yeah, because it's supposed to be more like, because if we are trying to showcase that this is the perspective, right? We need things to be in that perspective. This is clearly not that, and it's too much. But, nah, see, it doesn't work. Kind of looks like fucking Cell's melt thing, right, from Dragon Ball Z. Do I even have time for a 30-second rep? It's been 44 minutes. Okay, well, you know what? Instead of doing this thing again, we'll just do another one of this. So technically, we'll just call this one, this is just gonna be rep 31. Again, like, technically, I'm doing way more than 50 reps anyways, but I have no problem just doing it again. But let me rest my brain, and then I'll be right back. I encourage you to rest your brain as well. Yeah, so clearly, I always say clearly the most difficult thing is, and then it's always 15 different things I say based on the context. But definitely, did I fuck something up here? Why does it look smudged there? Who knows? But I like this. It's really, really gonna be getting me to get my line quality down. But obviously, one of the main things that I struggle with is definitely trying to understand the other side that's being foreshortened. So, well, let's get back to thinking about the box and the perspective and everything inside of it. Is my desk shaking? Am I shaking? Is the camera shaking? I can't tell. Every time I move, it feels like the world's fucking shaking around me. Perhaps I should get this checked or just ignore it like every other man. And then I'll come up 3 years later, or 30 years later, and I'm like, oh yes, that thing. I'm dead. Right? It's so funny. Anyways. So, let's see. Okay, so again, trying to think about the box, the sphere inside the box, and the center lines inside the sphere inside the box. I have gotten better. Like, it's definitely a little bit better, for sure, right? But it needs to be more foreshortened. And, no, it's not bad. It's following the spherical outline, but I think it could do better, or I could do better, for sure, like trying to think about that sphere. So this one will make more spherical. How about that? This one will have like a clearly established spherical nature to the shape. But the main thing is still, trying to think about how, trying to think about how that center line and the foreshortening that's occurring within the center line. Because if this, like even here, this is actually like a huge fuck up now that I look at it, right? Like this, what's happening here, everything. I don't understand how things wrap around, clearly. Like, so my understanding of the spherical wrapping around is still very subpar, right? Because yeah, like this just doesn't make sense, you know? If anything, this should be more like that, because it's actually a sphere, right? Like that's how it should be, I think. And maybe I fucked it up, who knows? But I'm just trying to think in terms of like it's wrapping around. This isn't something that's like it's going this, right? What I want is for it to wrap around, right? I want it to be following this contour. Like that is what this thing's center line is. The sphere inside this is center line. This horizontal center line is, right? Like I've gotten this down decently well, right? We've gotten this concept down decently well. But it's just when it comes to anything that's on this side and trying to conceptualize how if something is here, how is it wrapping around, staying in perspective, and also being on this side, right? That is something I'm struggling with, and I'm trying to acknowledge that I struggle with it. So maybe in hopes that it'll actually give me something to work with, right? And just for the sake of, because again, my brain wants to add shit to this so badly. So we'll just add little bolts to go with the cylindrical nature. But that doesn't make any sense. There's a few parts of this that make sense, and then there's a lot of them that don't make sense. But slowly but surely, I think I'm getting it down. Yeah, this is fucking with everything. This fucking, yeah, the wrong perspective I put here. So I just messed up the perspective, right? So obviously my brain's hurting a lot. So let's keep leaning into that and try to think about, well, if that's the case, right? Let's just start with something that I can say is going to be relatively simple, right? And I say that like relatively simple, you know? So it's something that's going around the sphere, right? I'm really trying to envision the box and the cylinders, or the box, the sphere inside the box. But let's think in terms of, okay, it's that way, right? Yeah, perspective's more that way. So again, like every time I fucking see the tilt, my neck is literally fucking, like I'm doing it right now, but my neck is tilting. So I'm trying to focus on also not having that be an impediment to my drawing. So which perspective do I want this in? Because I can just follow this angle, but then I can also say, actually, no, it's coming down, and then it's coming down, and then it's jutting outward, right? And that requires me to actually understand the planes itself. So I think what I'm gonna do is have it be something that's coming down and then jutting out. Yeah. So it's same thing here. And what I mean by this is like it's if this is great, my pen's telling me to go fuck myself again. Like if this is the side plane, right? Something that's following this, like going from here to here, right? That's the angle that I always project. And then following this plane, it's like one unit, one arbitrary unit. So it's actually like this. So it's jutting out this way, and then the other way would be the same thing, right? Where it's coming out and then it's going out this way. So this one would be something like that, right? For the other side. That's what I'm just trying to think about right now. But it's very difficult because I have to obviously visualize the box and the two planes at the very least and how they calculate in their angles, right? So it's all arbitrary at the end of the day. Like it's all just fucking trying to figure out calculations that and holding yourself to a specific proportion and ratio and then measuring based on the like one point to another. But that is literally how it works. That's literally how I think about it. So I want that to be very clear. Like that, you might be, because I've seen beginners, especially when the Broken Draw Discord was still active, and I mentioned this before, but somebody was like, "There's no fucking way artists are seeing the goddamn." Like he was basically saying, "There's no way artists are visualizing this." Then is this too small? Maybe that's too small. Yeah, he was basically saying, "There's no way artists are visualizing a plane, and then visualizing a sphere inside of a plane, right? And then visualizing a minor axis." Right, and then visualizing the entire plane being projected out into a box, right, and then calculating, the back, and then doing that. And he's like, "There's no way that's happening." And I said, "That's literally exactly what's happening. It's just to get to this point, let's just say arbitrary 100 hours minimum, right? So let's just say 100 to 300 hours of constantly cycling between line, visualizing line, visualizing the plane, visualizing the perspective, visualizing the cylinder inside of the box and the plane, right? And then visualizing the minor axis and then applying it. Yeah, and which is basically, let's just say 1,000 repetitions, 1,000 reps, whatever the fuck, right? Like, but the thing is that should inspire you because that's a skill that you can build, right? I'm just trying to break down and, as per my channel banner, right, demystify. Right? It takes a fuck ton of work. It takes this type of a fuck ton of work, right? It takes this type of a fuck ton of work that requires this type of thinking. It takes a consistent amount of this to be constantly applied, right? And you will achieve it. Granted, you put that work in, The talent is simply those who are able to achieve it faster and achieve it slower, right? Like that's literally it. And everybody has different affinities and their brain chemistry will allow themselves to understand certain things faster or slower. But nobody, literally nobody, apart from prodigies who we're not talking about. So people need to stop fucking bringing up, what about that one guy who like got there really, really fast? Like good for fucking him. You're not him. But it's like, apart from prodigies, nobody, and even they have to put in work if they actually want to live up to their potential, but nobody is above the work. Nobody's above the work. Like, look at me. Look how much I'm fucking struggling trying to figure this shit out, right? Am I above this shit? No, this is going to be the next fucking many hours, right? Let's just say another 50 hours. That's what it's going to be for me to be able to make decent mech designs. But anyways, right, I'm still trying to visualize and trying to figure this out. So that's that, and that's over here. So, okay, I've already got the perspective. I just need to figure out the angling. So here's when I'm trying to think really hard. So if we're coming down that, and then let's see, are we angling? Yeah, we're angling through there. Or are we angling in the middle? Because I could also be like, actually, it's an angle that's coming down to the middle and then projecting outwards, which technically is this exact same angle, right? But it has a different meaning. So I think I'll do that. So it's coming down through there. And then, so let's be like this, and it's coming out this way, right? But obviously I want it to be more prominent. That's a bit of intuition right there. That feels right to me. That's something I can't explain right now, but just know that it's based off of dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of constant calculating in my mind, and like your what is it called? Your fluid intelligence becomes crystallized intelligence, some shit like that. I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't even know if that makes sense. But let's see. So what I want is to, like, again, we're trying to keep this in mind, right? This perspective, this elliptical perspective in mind. So let's just do something like this, right? And then what? See, like, how does that work in this case? This is just, I think it just stops there, right? There you go. That's how the other side should be. And then it just comes down to whatever decisions I make, hopefully. Because like it's just about also calculating what the fuck's happening here, right? Like what does that look like on the other side? And it's just about knowing where things stop. So right now I can maybe have something that, let's see if it comes out there, then this is also slightly jutting out, and this is all based on my lines, of course. Comes out there. And yeah, this is oh fuck, see I fucked that line up. But that's basically what it should be, no? Like this, and then we're just gonna close this off. So maybe I'll just add a little cylinder here to be like, hey, look, it's a little jut out. And the same thing should be right at the edge of this, like that. But I should be able to close it off. Oh man, those lines are so bad. I should be able to close it off with little problem. Because again, we are trying to whether this ends up, well, we'll just close this off as well. And yeah, the lines are pretty mediocre. But that should be the end of the sphere on this side, no? So I also do want to think about what the middle entails, right? And right now, my mind just wants to do something like this, right? I want to have something connect here. We'll have a sphere, we'll have like a cylinder in the middle, right? But again, we need to think about how is that going to be actually calculated, because let's think, I could do something like this, right? Same thing as before, but maybe a little bit less. In terms of I guess intensity, I don't fucking know. We'll see. See, I think I already fucked that up, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, maybe I didn't. Right? Keep trying to keep that the fucking perspective in mind, and my head wants to tilt so badly. It wants to be like, nope, you're tilting. But I'm not doing that. I will never tilt. I'm not a tilter type of guy. I don't know what that means, but anyways. Just try to make sure my lines are decent. They're not decent, they're very subpar, but trying to make sure that they have something going for them. Yeah, my head wants to fucking turn in that perspective so badly. But yeah, like now I'm just trying to think, like this is the big shape I guess I've established. But I say I guess because I still don't know what this is going to turn into, but I'm trying to think. Right? We're trying to make it so it actually makes a little bit of sense. So that's the center. Maybe we can have a nice little something like that in there, and then maybe something like that, and then it's actually also going inwards. Right? Now the question is like, what do I want to happen here? Well, maybe I can have little attachments, like additions, right? Something like this. You can see they're a bit diagonal, but little jut outs like so that will cover, like go through these, you know, go around these what is it, these subtractions, and in turn give depth, hopefully. And this is all obviously hard for you to fucking understand what the hell I'm saying, but all I'm saying is I'm trying to add like a little shape that's gonna go around this, which has depth, right? And now it doesn't have depth yet, but once I start doing something like this where I multiple around it, it will have a little bit more depth. And this is, again, like this is mainly, I'm doing this just so for line practice, right? And I lost the perspective multiple times, by the way, but every time, like I know I'm getting better because every time I think about it, it's getting easier to think about it and to bring it back, which is all that matters to me, right? Is to think about it and bring it back. Now, how does this connect over here? Well, clearly I have like a whole thing going on here as well, because this is what I tried establishing, right? And I think what I can do regarding this is we can multiple around it. We can put it in perspective, and then we can have this essentially be cut out like so. right? And now it just comes down to, see, we can have the same thing on the other side. And now we can also, I'm trying to think really hard about this. Like, how can this be connected here? Right? Well, I think, and bear with me. Oh, fuck. iPad has low battery. I think I can create some sort of attachment. There you go. Something like this, right? That's attached to this. And we also still have to problem solve, like, how does this subtraction work into it, right? And I'm trying to think about that right now. Like, how does this subtraction work into it? And I think something like having something that's going along the contour, so basically form blending, right? But then, let's see, it's going along this, but it's actually a shape that's attached to this maybe. And it's jutting outwards like so, right? I already fucked up with perspective a little bit, but, and then we'll just have it perhaps come down like here, right? And over here, this can be the shape that will connect. There'll be like a connection there. There you go. Maybe something like that, yeah. The lines are obviously subpar, and I think it's getting a bit convoluted. I think, as in it's not objectively just convoluted as fuck, but I'm just trying to make sure like maybe there's a connection that makes sense, right? And then we'll just indicate this is like the edge of this, right? And we could also add cylinders that are attaching these and make it so that, hey, look, there's another cylinder that's attaching that, right? I don't know if that makes too much sense, but now we just also need to allow open space. So this is like the part where it's not cylindrical, but now I'm gonna add the part where it is cylindrical because we can actually, hopefully, right, trying to think about that perspective, do something like this. And then something like this, where it's wrapping around, right? Something like that. That should make it a little bit more consistent, but this is not what I intended to do initially, but now I'm going to do that, which is really get the contour of this sphere down, like so. There you go. It's not perfect, actually. It's really not. Like, you can see there's not much confidence in the contour itself, but definitely feels a lot more spherical, which is obviously something I'm not trying to lean towards, right? So we'll just have to see how this all goes down, right? But again, like, it's not done yet because I could still do something like this, right? Again, this is not like that good, but if I want this to really feel like it's part of that cylinder, maybe I could just, it has to be subtle actually. And then it's slowly getting a bit less in width because we are obviously trying to follow the cylinder. Oh, sorry, the sphere, right? This is really off. Like, this really is fucking things up. I'll say that much. But yeah, and now we have to problem solve this. And I already think, like, we'll try to keep it simple because we've done a lot of work clearly on like this area. So now the eye, from my understanding and from what I've seen in design, it needs breathing room, right? Like, it needs a lot of breathing room. So we can do something like, now what would look cool? What would look cool and what would be something that's just like, okay, that's, I don't know, functional? I don't fucking know, bro. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Right? Because I already fucked the sphere up actually with that. I really fucked it up with that, but and because like that's what it should have been like. It should have been like this more so, right? And obviously I'm just drawing over it and it makes it look bad, but it's okay because I'm just trying to understand what the fuck I'm doing. So this is coming out. And again, we could do something like this. And this can actually also be, there you go, aligned with the sphere. So, but on the other side, what's happening, right? And what are we seeing on the other side? It's okay, yeah, what the fuck am I seeing on the other side? That's coming out. We will see something like this, I think, where it's just, this is being shut off. Right, that's just shut off. Now what is that? Well, we'll see something like, there you go. Right, maybe, I don't fucking know. I'm still figuring out the other side. And again, like, obviously I do have a tendency to add complexity where there doesn't need to be that much complexity. I'm aware of that, right? But right now it's just about trying to make things look decent. And what can I do here? Well, actually, I could probably just do something like this. There you go. This can fix our, maybe it can fix our little sphere, right? Maybe. And you know, following the perspective. Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? It doesn't make much sense anymore. We'll just leave it. This is obviously like a huge mistake, right? But yeah, like you see, like this is near the end of the Jesus Christ, fuck. But this is near the end of the practice session, so my brain is having a lot of trouble making sense of things. And we'll even connect this like so. Yeah. And I'll do the same thing here. Little subtraction. Right? And we can even do something like this that indicates that the plane did change. Right? And to do that on the other side would require something like, I believe, this. And yeah, something like this, where it's just coming down, right? Whee! And then yeah, something like that, right? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's connected. We have, even though I think it completely actually fucked around the other way, but I actually ended up changing the perspective without even realizing it. So we're just gonna do something like this. That way we'll have something like that as well on the other side, right? And then if that's the case, then we'll just kind of try to match it. There you go. Kind of makes sense. I'm certain that my brain is so dead that it can't really like conceptualize or make sense of this properly anymore, but it's just what it is. Yeah, it's just what it is. I can't fucking think of anything, bro. None of this makes sense to me. Yeah, like coming around, and then yeah, we'll just. No, see, it doesn't make sense. See, I can't think of like the wraparound properly. Cause I obviously fuck some things up, but yeah, it should be going around, and then there's just something like this. And how's that even positioned? If I were to wrap it around, yeah, see, we don't see this, so that's a mistake. We don't see that. Fuck it, let's just close this off. There you go. Just give it a tiny little fish mouth with little grill marks, and we'll close it off. There you go. Again, give this a little bit more structure. It's too complicated. It's too complicated. But my designs are getting better. I can say that first, like without a fucking doubt. My lines are getting better. I can say that without a doubt. But trying to problem solve what's happening on the other side That's much more difficult. And my shapes did lose a lot of their meaning. Yeah, like trying to figure out what's happening here, like how it's curving and how it's being reflected and projected. Very difficult. Very difficult. But yeah, that was fun. That really fucking hurt my brain. I'm gonna rest my brain before I either piano or draw again. We'll see. But, yeah, with that being said, right? That's good. Fuck, did I not even complete this fucking thing? There you go. Can't have my lines be incomplete. Not right now, anyways. Abstraction and style and purposefully omitting lines can occur afterwards. But there you go. Okay. Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. It's getting better, but it's alright. Anyways, yeah, with that being said, right, as always, I hope you fucking tried and put a lot of effort in. This was really fun for me, and I'm getting better at maintaining this. I mean, like, this is still not as accurate as that, and foreshortening's getting a bit better, but you can still see, like, this is a completely convoluted mess, right, which I'm gonna work on, obviously, as I continue to try to figure shit out, right. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that are inaccurate, but if anything, I should probably do like one side and then the other side and then one side and the other side to really force myself to think about both sides at the same time. Right now I just did this. What I've been doing is just this, and then it doesn't give me the opportunity to think about both at the same time. So that's something I'll try to give it a best shot. But yeah, and again, like I lost the perspective multiple times while I was doing this, just a heads up. I lost my own fucking thought process and like where I was going dozens of times, right? And that's a good thing, like, and it feels good. And those are all the mistakes that you still count as mistakes and you enjoy them, right? Your brain learns from them. So with that being said, as always, fuck you for watching, keep drawing, and money.